Rob Swanson, and this is the second of a series of videos where we're going through the glossary of the course Art of Discussion associated with the Academy for Lifelong Learning on Cape Cod, September of the year 2020. I trust everybody has their notes handy to jot down any thoughts that they have as we go along. I am picking up here with the letter D, debate. Discussion with opposing views. I don't want to debate, so says the everyday person. Yes, you do want to debate. Debate is a good word. We do want to discuss opposing views. It comes from a French word which means to beat, which means it's a little bit more strenuous than easygoing conversation. But when people are debating, they are learning. It's always good. If some people think that it's a threat, it's really not a threat. Deconstruction. Deconstruction will be coming up perhaps in our final time together. Deconstruction is a postmodern word, the inability of language to represent reality. Hence, the postmodern will say, at least on the higher levels, discussion is not possible. It's impossible for the thoughts of one brain to come out with words to meaningfully affect and be accurately communicated to the brain of another through sound waves. Can't happen, it won't happen. Therefore, the quintessential postmodernists will just retreat into themselves where nothing really matters more other than their own existence and their own will. Deconstruction, not a good thing at all, and I would like to very much beat that back in the coming generation, and perhaps a little bit with this course. Deductive, to take away, to withdraw, or to conclude. There are two ways of communication. One is inductive, one is deductive. Deductive thinking is when we already have the conclusion in mind. Inductive is when we don't. Embedded conclusions tend not to further discussion well. The inductive approach in the context of discussion is a preferable way to go. Most of the time. Deranged, thrown into disorder. To the degree that deranged is present, discussion is not. It's from the old French word which means against the row. Sometimes the word trigger is used to really set people off. Do not get near a deranged person if your intent is to have a dialogue, a discussion with them, because it's not going to happen. And of course, we got to begin with ourselves. So I don't want anybody to think that I am deranged myself because I'm responding to some sort of trigger and I just take off when I've heard something or my emotions are tapped through for one reason or another. Derision. Ridicule, contempt, from the Latin word to mock. Tell me, why would anybody ever practice derision? Does it feel good? I mean, really? This is a psychology issue because whenever a person is deriding another, it's not about them. It's not about what a knucklehead they are. It's more about how little patience and understanding and perseverance I have within myself, or maybe an exalted, elevated view I have of myself. So, derision, be mindful of it. Discern, to perceive or to organize, from the Latin word to separate. Discernment is not a hunch. It is judging. Discernment is good. It's good to be very discerning regarding ourselves, be very easy on others because our discernment on others could easily be inaccurate, certainly incomplete. Discord, lack of agreement, from the Latin word without heart, discord, without heart. Why is there discord? Is there discord because of words, or is there discord because of actions? People are going to be saying the wrong thing. I don't want to live with discord. I want the opposite of discord, which happens to be peace. strive for peace, without which no person will see the Lord. So says the Bible. Discourse, communication with words. From a Middle English word meaning two words, run and action. Discourse is not natural. Discourse is skill dependent. And this is why we read. This is why we want to be improving our vocabulary. This is why we value Shakespeare, who could say so much with so few words. I wish I could be like that. Unlike some of the authors I've read, some of the German authors writing in theology, where sentences can easily go 100 words in length. Not good for discourse. It's not even good in any form of communication, but that's what we have. Discourse is communication with words, running action. Discussion. I probably should have opened with this one. This is number one. This is the art of discussion. And I have said before, and you will hear me say it again, discussion is the holy grail of communication. Discussion is a consensual examination or consideration of a matter, obviously with another person. From the Latin word which means to shake, which means that discussion is not necessarily going to be smooth and easy and natural. In fact, it might feel uncomfortable sometimes because we're mixing it up. And that's what life is, isn't it? Mixing up our thoughts, mixing up our social engagements. It's educational. So the art of discussion, this is not the art of shooting the breeze. This is the art of something far more valuable than that. The art of discussion. Discussion dogma. Coined in negative light for most of the 20th century, but it's actually a good word. It means principles or teaching. But this comes up because, as we will see in one of our coming classes, there are words that are very positive and affirming, and other words that communicate a negativity. And I think dogma is one of those words. But technically, it doesn't belong there. Emotional. Governed by an instinctive state of mind derived from circumstances, mood, or relationships. And don't you love that definition? Emotions is something everybody knows, but few people know how to define. So, like I've done with everything on this list, I go to dictionary.com to see what the experts have had to say to get us started. Governed by an instinctive state of mind derived from circumstances, mood, or relationships. And you see what's missing from that definition. Rational thought. It's dependent upon circumstances, mood, or relationships that tend to govern, not necessarily the truth or logic. We're emotional people. We make decisions emotionally. We understand that. We need to recognize that and get a grip on it, control it, and keep it in its proper place, particularly when we're with other people, because their betterment is really the end game here, rather than venting whatever emotions I have inside of me, as if me venting them is going to make them any better. Emotional intelligence is not knowing what other people think and what other people are thinking. It's awareness and control of one's own emotions and moods. So an emotionally intelligent person, they know what's going on. They have figured out. They figured it out themselves. And they figured it out accurately. Accurate enough to be persuasive to the people who know them best. It's not just a person who is very emotional. It's a person who understands their emotions. Engage. To attract and occupy the attention. If discussion is a good word, engagement is a very good word. When we are opening our mouths and we have the ear of another person, we certainly would like to be engaging, wouldn't we? To occupy their attention, to be worthy of their attention, and not to have them drifting off and they're thinking, why am I listening to this? I don't care about this. I don't care about you. No. Now, this takes some forethought, and as does good discussion, takes some forethought and some preparation. Ethics, respected rules of conduct. From the Greek disposition of a community. The ethics, the word ethics is out there looking for some identification and definition, because the word ethic doesn't mean a thing. It's just a category. What are we going to fill the ethics with, and what's it going to be? It's the first word of sociology. Ethics really is not primarily a religious word. It is a sociological word. And so when we talk about ethical conclusions, we're making our reference point people more so than any higher truth. Extroversion, a primary concern for the physical and social environment. If I am concerned about others, that would make me an extrovert. If I am concerned about what's going on in my own head and my own heart, that makes me an introvert. An extrovert is not somebody who's outgoing. If you're outgoing, you're outgoing. An extrovert is someone who cares about what's going on in their outer world. Fellowship. A friendly relationship of equals is a fellowship. The Sunday school definition of this is fellowship is two fellows in a ship, which is really a pretty good definition when you think of it. Those two fellows in the ship have got to get along. They have to have some agreement with one another. They have to work together. And in the whole realm of social relationships, we value fellowship. It assumes that the people involved are equals, as they are. That ends F. I'm going to be starting with I, so I'm going to be ending this video for this time. Continue on with the Art of Discussion Glossary, Part 3, beginning with the letter I, and so I will see you next time.